Okay, so I want you to picture something for a second. Imagine you're playing a really high-stakes game of poker, but instead of sitting at a felt table in some quiet room, you're moving at 80 kilometers an hour. And instead of holding cards, you're controlling, what, 40 tons of steel and cargo?
Yeah.
Oh, and the other players, they aren't sitting still. They're swerving, cutting you off, stopping dead in the middle of the highway.
And if you make just one wrong move, you don't just lose your chips. Consequences are, well, they're catastrophic.
Exactly. It's terrifying when you really stop to think about it.
Yeah.
We talk about logistics as this, abstract thing moving boxes from A to B.
Right.
But for fleet managers, for the drivers out there, it is literally navigating a minefield every single day. You've got crumbling infrastructure, you've got fatigue, regulatory hurdles. It's a chaotic environment.
It is, and the variables are just endless. You can have the best truck, the best tires, the most optimized route, planned down to the second.
And then what happened?
And then a thunderstorm hits in the Free State, or a road is closed for construction, and suddenly, that perfect plan, it's out the window.
That is the perfect setup for what we're digging into today. We usually obsess over the hardware, the trucks, the fuel, the telematics.
The tech.
All the tech. But today we are pivoting. We're looking at the most unpredictable, complex, and vital part of that machine. The human being behind the wheel.
Which is, ironically, often the part that gets the least amount of genuine, sophisticated investment.
Right. So today we are deep diving into some really compelling insights from Greystride. Now, their research focuses specifically on the South African context, which is a beast of its own.
It really is.
But honestly, the principles here apply everywhere. Cape Town, Cairo, you name it. We are talking about revolutionizing driver training.
And before you tune out because you heard the word training and immediately pictured a stale classroom with a VHS tape from 1995, please stop.
Yes, erase that image. Because the mission today is to completely dismantle that idea. Greystride argues that training shouldn't be a compliance exercise. It's not a tick box activity just to keep the insurance guy happy.
No, it's a dynamic, data-driven tool that saves money and, quite literally, saves lives.
It's really a masterclass in risk management and organizational culture.
It is. It's about moving from, did you watch the safety video, to how do we engineer a safer environment using behavioral psychology.
I was actually surprised by how psychological and high-tech this gets. We're going to be talking about virtual reality, panic inoculation, granular data analysis. So let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Greystride starts with a pretty bold premise.
Right.
You cannot train for risks you don't understand.
It sounds obvious, doesn't it? Know your risks.
Right.
But you'd be surprised how many organizations use a spray and pray approach. They just throw a generic safety course at everyone, something they bought off the shelf, and hope it sticks.
Greystride's point is that you need to diagnose your specific reality first.
Exactly. And since we're looking at this through their work in South Africa, the context is really specific. They mention the huge difference between navigating poorly maintained rural roads versus, say, coping with the insane traffic around Gauteng.
Those are two totally different worlds.
Completely different skill sets, different cognitive loads. A driver on a lonely, potholed road in the Eastern Cape, they're dealing with fatigue, boredom, mechanical hazards.
Or livestock.
Yeah.
Can't forget the cows and goats.
Exactly. Whereas a driver navigating Gauteng during rush hour is dealing with high-speed aggression, lane-splitting motorbikes, constant stop-start concentration.
So if you give them both the exact same training,
You're failing at least one of them. You might be teaching the city driver about mud, which he never sees, while failing to teach the rural driver about, say, a hijack scenario.
And there's also the regulatory side, right? Ensuring compliance with the RTMC.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. Compliance is the floor, not the ceiling. If you're only training to meet the minimums, you aren't managing risk. You're just avoiding a fine.
So how do you figure out what your actual problems are?
Well, this is the fascinating part. They talk about incident data.
This is the detective work part.
It is. You look for patterns. It's not just, we had 5 accidents, it's analyzing them. Okay, we had 5 rollovers. They all happened on long-haul routes between 2 and 4 a.m.
Now you have a hypothesis.
Exactly. Is it the route? Is it circadian rhythm fatigue?
Or, as the source mentions, do nighttime stops correlate with fatigue? I mean, that's such a specific data point to look for.
Precisely. And they also mention benchmarking. You have to look at your peers. If the industry average for accidents is X and you are sitting at 2X, you can't just blame bad luck. You have a systemic issue.
But here's where it gets really interesting for me. It's not just spreadsheets. Greystride emphasizes the human element, they say. Survey your drivers.
This is the single most underutilized resource in fleet management. Management sits in an office, they see dots on a screen.
The driver sees the actual road.
The driver knows that a specific off-ramp on the N3 has a blind corner that tightens up. They know which depots have dangerous entry points where you have to reverse blindly into traffic.
They know where the blind spots are in the current training.
Exactly. If you ask a driver, what scares you most out there, they'll tell you. And if your training doesn't address that specific fear, then it's just theoretical. The drivers will just roll their eyes at it.
That's a perfect segue to the next section, moving from theory to simulation, because we've all sat through those courses where you sign the sheet, eat the donut, and learn absolutely nothing.
The check-the-box syndrome. It might satisfy the insurance company, but it doesn't change human behavior. And that's the goal here.
So Greystride proposes 3 pillars for this. The first one is on-road coaching.
This is basically the apprenticeship model, pairing new or underperforming drivers with mentors. But it's not just watch me drive.
It's live feedback.
It's live feedback. Hey, you took that corner a little wide, or you braked a bit late there.
Immediate correction.
In the real world, you can't replicate the feeling of a loaded truck shifting its weight on a curve in a classroom. That mentorship builds muscle memory.
Okay, the second pillar, though, this is the one I got really excited about. Scenario simulations.
Yeah, the simulations.
And we are not just talking about watching a video. We're talking about simulating things you literally cannot practice safely in real life.
This is so crucial. I mean, how do you practice for a sudden livestock crossing?
You can't just ask a cow to run out on the highway at a scheduled time. Okay, Daisy, on my mark.
Right. You can't practice avoiding a crash by almost crashing. It's too dangerous. But with video modules or simulators, you can put a driver in that heart-pounding situation, a child running out, a tire blowout, a 100-kilometer rise, and you can let them fail.
Let them fail.
Yes, let them crash in the simulator. Because when they crash in there, they learn the limit. Oh, I can't brake that hard on wet pavement.
It creates a physical reaction.
It does, a neurological pathway. It's called panic inoculation. So when it happens in real life, the brain says, I've seen this before. I know what to do, instead of just freezing up.
That is so cool. It's like rewiring the brain without the risk. And the third pillar is telematics. Now, usually when drivers hear telematics, they think Big Brother.
That's the common fear, the spy in the cab. But Greystride flips it. Instead of using it to punish people, use it as a review tool. Think of it like a football team watching game tape.
Like a game replay.
Exactly. You sit down with the driver. Look at this harsh braking event at 3:14 p.m. What happened here? It takes the emotion out of it. It's just data. Here is the behavior. Here is the result. Let's make a small adjustment.
So the truck itself becomes the teacher.
That's a beautiful way to put it. The truck provides the feedback loop.
But even the best training fades. Right? I mean, I learned trigonometry in high school, and I couldn't tell you the first thing about it now.
That's the forgetting curve. It's a well-documented thing. If you learn something once, you forget most of it within a week if you don't use it.
So Greystride attacks this with continuous learning. They say safety is not a one-off event.
And this is where the modern approach really shines. They suggest monthly micro-training.
Micro-training, I love that term. It sounds manageable.
It is. It respects the driver's time. We aren't pulling them off the road for a whole day. We're talking 15, maybe 20 minutes, short, focused sessions, maybe while they're waiting for a load.
And the topics are really specific, like fatigue management or cross-border procedures.
Or load securement. Just quick refresh. Hey, remember, this is how we strap this down. It keeps the knowledge fresh. It's like dripping water on a plant instead of flooding it once a year.
They also talk about social learning through peer-to-peer workshops.
Which is so powerful because drivers trust other drivers more than they trust management. If a manager says, drive slow, it's an order.
But if a veteran driver says...
If a veteran driver says, hey, on that route to Durban, watch out for that third bend after the bridge, it's slippery when wet, the younger drivers listen. That's survival information.
It creates positive peer pressure.
It does. It celebrates success stories. Instead of safety meetings being about who screwed up, it becomes a knowledge exchange.
And to make it more engaging, they bring in gamification, performance dashboards.
Humans are competitive. If you publish a simple scorecard and say, Team A has a 98% safety score this month, Team B has 92%, Team B is going to want to beat them.
As long as it's friendly, really.
Oh, yeah. It has to be fair and transparent, but that little bit of competition keeps safety top of mind.
So we have the diagnosis, the training, the reinforcement. But the skeptic in the room, the CFO, is going to ask, does this actually pay off?
And that is the million-dollar question. This is where we get to the metrics. Greystride is very clear you cannot improve what you don't track.
So what should we be watching? I mean, beyond just accident rates.
Well, accident frequency and severity, those are your lagging indicators. They tell you what's already happened. But you need to look at financial indicators too. Insurance premium trends are huge.
Right. Your insurance premium is basically an external risk assessment of your company.
Exactly. If your premiums are going down, you are doing something right. It means the underwriters see you as a lower risk. That is direct profit protection.
They also mention driver feedback scores and telematics event rates.
The telematics event rate is a leading indicator. This is really important. Accidents are rare, but harsh braking or speeding happens all the time. If you see those events drop by 20%, you know that fewer accidents are going to happen.
You're seeing the behavior change in real time.
Precisely. And Greystride advises setting realistic targets, like aiming for a 15% reduction in preventable incidents within 6 months.
That word preventable is key.
It is. You can't prevent every act of nature, but you can prevent a rear-end collision. And setting a specific goal, 15% in 6 months, it galvanizes the team.
And if the metrics plateau,
Then you go back to the beginning, revisit your risk assessment. Maybe the risks have changed. It's a continuous feedback loop.
now all of this, the data, the sims, the metrics, it all relies on one thing holding it together. And that's what Greystride calls culture.
Culture is king. You can have the best simulators in the world, but if the culture is get it there fast, I don't care how, the training is useless.
The source material talks about shared responsibility. Safety isn't just the driver's job.
No, it's everyone's job. And this is where leadership involvement comes in. Greystride suggests something I think is brilliant. Managers should do ride-alongs.
Actually getting in the truck, like sitting in the passenger seat.
Actually sitting in the passenger seat for a long haul.
Wow, that would change your perspective.
Think about the message this sends. If the boss is willing to sit there, experience the heat, the traffic, the frustration, it signals that they value what the driver does. It validates their reality.
It bridges the gap between the office and the road.
Precisely. And it helps create what we call psychological safety. Drivers need to be able to report hazards, near misses, or even their own mistakes without fear of blame.
So if I almost hit a car because I was tired, I should be able to say that. And the company says, okay, let's look at your schedule, rather than you're fired.
Exactly. Because if you fire that guy, the next guy just won't tell you when he's tired, and then he'll crash. Open feedback loops save lives.
They also mention recognition, highlighting safe driving champions.
Positive reinforcement. We are so quick to punish bad driving. We need to be just as quick to reward good driving. A small reward, public acknowledgement, it goes a long way.
It seems like Greystride is really pushing for a holistic approach. And finally, they touch on the idea that sometimes you can't do it all alone.
Right. Expert partnership and technology. Sometimes you need to scale up.
Customization seems to be key here. Designing modules specifically for South African road conditions.
If you buy a training package from Europe, it might teach you about ice and snow, but it won't teach you how to handle minibus taxi cutting across 3 lanes. You need localized content.
And the tech integration VR, advanced analytics, that's hard to build in-house.
It is. Partnering with specialists allows you to leapfrog the development time and get the benefit of the latest tech without having to build it yourself.
So let's zoom out. We've gone from analyzing spreadsheets of accident data to dodging virtual livestock in a simulator,
To doing 15-minute microlessons on a phone.
all the way to the CEO riding shotgun in a truck.
It's a journey, a complete ecosystem shift.
And the payoff, according to Greystride, is pretty massive. It protects people, cuts costs, and enhances reputation.
It turns safety from a cost center into a competitive advantage. That's the real shift.
I really like that. It's not just avoiding bad things, it's being better at business.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what is the one thing sticking with you?
You know, it brings me back to a thought about the definition of training itself. We usually view training as corrective. You train a driver not to speed. It's negative. It implies something is wrong.
Right, it's about stopping bad behavior.
But if we look at what Greystride is saying about building a culture of care and professionalism, it flips the script. What if? What if we stopped thinking of training as correcting bad behavior and started thinking of it as investing in professionalism? You know, like an athlete.
Oh, I like that.
Athletes don't train because they are bad at their sport. They train because they are professionals. They train to be elite. They watch game tape. They have coaches.
So if you treat your drivers like professionals,
who deserve the best tools and preparation to do a difficult job, imagine how that changes the way they feel when they climb into that cab.
It changes their identity.
It does. They aren't just drivers anymore, they are pilots of the road. And pilots take safety seriously because of pride, not just fear of a ticket.
That is a powerful shift from correction to investment, from compliance to pride.
That's the secret sauce. That's how you revolutionize safety.
Well, there you have it. A roadmap for revolutionizing driver safety, straight from the insights of Greystride. Whether you manage a fleet of 5 vans or 500 trucks, I think there's a lot there to chew on.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, drive safe, and we'll catch you on the next one.